Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be speaking with João today. João is a former client of Immigrant Spirit, now living in Germany in Frankfurt, and once completed the program a few years back. But João, I wanted to open the floor for you, and if you could tell a little bit about the start of your story and where you came from.
Yeah, sure, it's a pleasure. So, well, I moved to Frankfurt in 2015, so already 9 years ago. And when I came to Frankfurt, I was employed by a Portuguese company, which I joined, and I was there for 18 years. So I came to Germany already employed. The first 3 years in Germany, so I was working for that company, and then I left. And it was a time that I was taking some time to improve my German language, because before that I was not using German in my work, only English. And and then after some time, I started looking for a job and sending the normal process, sending applications, curriculums with very low success. And and this is where I found the Immigrant Spirit. I think I did it online or maybe in some job search. I faced the program. And then I got curious to start looking for some webinars, some testimonials. So that was how I was in contact with you.
Really cool. So you were already here in Germany, looking to improve your language skills. You stumbled across Immigrant Spirit, just as a lot of people do online. I also did the same. Back when I did the program 3 years ago, I believe I found it on Google search or something. So really cool to see that it was still showing up over the years. Talking about that, when you were able to find the program, what did you learn and what changed after you did the program that allowed you to find success?
Basically, it's changing the paradigm of just sending and have a lot of effort preparing cover letters and sending applications. And it's changed the paradigm of focusing much more on trying to get in a conversation with the hiring manager rather than the traditional process. And it requires systematization. So before that, I would say that I bought the book before joining the program, so I was curious. It's very clear the way it's written, so the language is simple and everything makes sense and rationalized with what I was facing. So and then I joined the program. So and what helped me was getting like a framework and creating a systematization on how we should approach the market. So of course, there are still things that I use today, like trying to engage with people, asking for 5 minutes to make 2 questions. So there are things that really work, not just for finding a new job, but like to get a new intro. I'm in a sales position, so I'm always trying to get in contact with new people that doesn't know you. So in the end, there are smart tricks that we can apply, not just for finding a job.
Completely agree. And I'm so happy that you brought up the framework and then also the personalization of it, because I always write on the website when I'm communicating with others, systematic but personalized. If you can do the same thing week after week and you keep getting better at your craft, but at the same time, you're making a tailored message to someone, this makes a huge difference as opposed to if you're just an anonymous person knocking on the door of a corporation. So I can also say for myself, long after when I was a client of the program, then I also knew to go forward with that methodology in approaching people. And, I think that this at least gives you a chance to have a conversation. It doesn't happen all the time. And wanted to touch on that last point, because you had mentioned when you had progressed to the point where you are now, maybe you could talk a little bit about when you became a hiring manager. What did you notice about how people were traditionally going about it, and what could people have done in that moment to make their profile more attractive to you?
Yeah, well, good point. So as a hiring manager afterwards, when I started working again, I had to. It was the COVID time, so but for our business was really cool. So we had to double my team, and everything was growing exponentially, and I had to hire several people, and we were struggling to get applications, and also we got applications, but they were not really interesting. But one thing that I figured out is that I never was approached directly by any candidate, and this would really make a huge difference for me, because it already shows that you have a drive, that you have ambition when you try to get in contact with the hiring manager. So getting the applications, and to be honest, I was then doing what I know that they were doing with my applications. I was just scrolling them, 20 seconds, oh, I don't like this, and then skip it. So, and maybe if that person would have called me or tried to engage with me, LinkedIn, or I'd like to know more about the position, I would be available for that, because I was struggling to get good candidates. So I think most of the times we are like trying to find arguments that are against ourselves. So don't be shy, is my recommendation. Try to break these HR silos and go directly to the hiring manager. And yeah, you don't have anything to lose. In my case, when I was in the process and having these conversations, I never found someone that will say, "Oh, don't, I don't have time for you." Or so the ones that respond, you can get a good conversation. Sometimes you figure out that this is not the position that you are looking for. In some cases, the guys told me, "Oh, but this is not right for you, but I will put in contact with someone that is also looking for, and maybe it's a bit best fit." So I don't see any disadvantage of trying to engage.
Great point. And it's so great to hear your perspective as well. Once now you've made it on the other side. And I tell people that all the time as well. When we reach out, then you at least are trying to make a personal connection, and people are much friendlier than everyone is afraid that is not the case. You'll be surprised when people say, I'm not the right person, but I know who is the right person. And that automatically is an inside track to inside of the company. That could lead to a referral. That could at least lead to another phone call. So, say with us, 3 out of 10 or so people are responding to LinkedIn requests. The rate of your cold application being responded to is so much lower than that. And all the while, hey, you can connect with someone and talk business. If it's not that exact opportunity, at least you're actually speaking with a real person about real problems. And what did you, now that you're the director, are you currently hiring any English speakers, or do you have any positions, and maybe for people listening to this, watching, and do you know of any other positions in BlackBerry that are hiring English speakers right now that are open?
Yeah, so let's say I'm in a sales position, so I'm the sales director for EMEA region for one vertical called General Embedded Market. So, and I'm managing a multinational team, so people from different origins and countries. I don't have any open position at the time, so for the German market. But what our company, so the BlackBerry is a Canadian company, and if you go to our website on the bottom, you'll see careers, and you can filter by Germany, and you'll see some open positions. We have positions for student workers. We have positions for more for software development, software testing positions, and for the technical positions, you will see that German is not a requirement. We have multiple different nationalities also here in Germany, so it will not be an issue. If you are looking for a position more on marketing, on sales, definitely German will be asked. And I would say that it will be difficult to find a position if you are really on the sales and client-facing positions and you don't speak the language. But for other positions, other functions, you will see that it's not a requirement. And the positions are most of the times open, not just for a Germany location, but also UK or France or any other country. So it's quite flexible to get an application there.
True. Okay. So software engineers, testers, developers, more in technical roles. These are roles that, you don't have to communicate externally all the time. And if a company language is English, or maybe it's been overall, but still, if you're doing your back end work and you have limited communication with coworkers, German coworkers, then in these scenarios, it certainly could work. We see it a lot with the job openings across Germany, especially in Berlin, with a lot of startups, that these software positions are usually accommodating to English. So it's a good point.
Our internal language is English, and most of the times when we are talking about technical positions and we have meetings with customers, most of the times there is always someone that is not German fluent on the client's team side. So English will be the language most of the times, even if we have German speakers on our side. But I can tell you, for example, we have field application engineers that have a kind of a pre-sales role, and one is from US, another one is from Canada, and they speak directly with customers most of the times in English. So they can speak a bit of German, but yeah, where they feel comfortable with English, and the customer is also okay with that.
Right. And I've also found that at big companies, if you need someone to communicate with, say, North American market or UK market, then these positions, obviously, you're going to be mainly communicating with your market in English. So that's another good point. By the way, with job postings, so do you know for the English jobs, say for, software engineers, do you know if you post the jobs typically in German or in English?
They are posted in English. So yeah, as I said, our language is English, and they are posted in our corporate website. So all the positions will be in one single place.
Okay.
So you'll find openings for worldwide, but then you have to filter by the countries that you are interested. So Germany, I just checked it before our conversation. There are roughly 10 open positions right now. So yeah, have a look and see. But this is very dynamic. So next week could be more, could be less. So it's very dynamic.
Sometimes it's the case that we see companies will post the job in German, but it'll still be open to English speakers. So it can be a little bit odd sometimes, but at least it alleviates people's stress. When you see the job post in English, then you can go ahead, make sure it says in the job post and it confirms, but you should be good to go to apply for that.
Yeah, sure.
Cool. So 10 roles at least open at BlackBerry, which is great to hear for English speakers. I'm sure some people will go to the website and check those out upon seeing this. So a few good ideas for everyone once you watch this. And one last question for you, João. What would you say to someone who's considering Immigrant Spirit? They're looking at joining the program. When you think back to your experience, what would you say was a needle mover for you?
I think it's like, let's say, in general, looking for a job is a very lonely process, and it's like a long shot, and most of the times you get depressed or in a negative position because you send many applications, no one replies to you, and in the end you think that, okay, I will stay 3-4 months, but yeah, you don't get anything back, or maybe you get an interview and you are just losing your time. So what I benefited the most was to get like a structure, a framework, and I really saw that I was getting more conversations, and then you get faster in the job market again. So it's just going straight to the point, jumping some stages that when you are applying the traditional way, you have to face HR. Germany in particular is a very conservative country, so they don't like change. They don't like to see unknown, so people with strange names or with origins. If they have a position, HR looking for 2 candidates, okay, they will exclude these ones that are more rare or more different from the norm. So I think you need to skip that process if you are not a native or coming from outside, and go with a different approach. And this is my recommendation. I had a good experience with Immigrant Spirit, so yeah, I can just recommend it.
Great points. And if you're not a standard applicant, you have to try something different. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting something to change. At some point, you have to go outside of the hamster wheel and try something different, especially when you're able to go to something that you have a proven framework that you can also take with you afterwards. I'm so happy to hear that it worked for you as you moved forward. And then you're on the other side and hiring people and also looking for that framework, but always making sure that it's personalized. And at the end of the day, 2 people discussing a real problem is great to hear that, and still happily living here. So João, again, really appreciate talking to you today, and we'll stay in contact.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.